Okay, Thurston County Board of County Commissioners are back from a closed session. This is going to be on a separate Zoom, part 2 of an afternoon work session on the budget on this Wednesday, October 27, 2021, 3:37 p.m. We're picking up after the closed session, which related to collective bargaining, and we're jumping back into our budget line items. Back to the Assistant County Manager, Robin Campbell.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to first give a status report on where we're at and share my screen. And first I'm going to make sure that the model is available. So share, right thing. And so this new version has all of your decisions to date. It still includes a $500,000 per year reduction in the road levy shift. And if you look at the graph, it's slowly spending down your fund balance to the, and I apologize that the graph shows weird. It's the computer. But in 2028, it starts to turn the corner, and the entire time through 2030, you are at or above your target of 2 months of fund balance. So, this just showing you where we're at right now. I think that if you go a little below the blue line in future years, you're going to be fine. So there's a little capacity left, and we have not used the capacity of shifting costs to detention sales tax. So that's where we're at.
But we've designated some of those costs to go to.
Some of the costs are designated to detention sales
But
tax.
those are new costs.
Yes, some of the
You
new
could shift old
costs. That's exactly right. And we're trying to get a tally on exactly how much you've committed in detention sales tax. So before I would say, hey, you've still got this much capacity, I think you've got at least $1 million, but before I give you a real number, we're gonna tally up what you've spent out of detention sales tax.
Can you give us the treasurer's update that you referred to earlier?
Yes, thank you. So the decision that the board has made, the preliminary decision, is to fund the double fill for the treasurer of $20,000. And that leaves about $15,000 that the treasurer would need to absorb in leave buyout costs. We've received communication from the treasurer asking you to please reconsider and give him the entire amount. That is the communication from the treasurer. And you don't need to do that right now. We can do that as loose ends at the end.
Anything about that?
So everybody, a lot of offices and departments will be asking for reconsideration.
Right.
Just saying.
Right. And Denise, you had something to add?
I was just going to share that so far the decisions that will hit the detention sales tax are $325,000.
$325,000, so not very much at all. But we're not done yet.
A lot more capacity.
Thank you, Denise.
Let me ask a question here as we move forward. Eventually, when we get closer to conclusion and before we make some of these final decisions, is there a relatively simple way, and I'm going to use the treasurer, I think, as an example, that you could get back to us and just have treasurer, auditor, sheriff, I don't know, public works, I don't know where we're all at on the whole thing, that tentatively, if you follow like what we've done up until this point, we have filled 50% of the ask from the auditor, or, 100% from the treasurer. I don't know exactly, but I'm just using that as an example. So we'll kind of have an idea of who we've treated, I want to say fairly, I guess. I want to treat people as fairly as possible. I'm a big believer in our elected offices being the backbone of county government. Not that public works and planning and all those other folks aren't very important. It's just, I'd like to know where we are with each one of those groups. So roads asked for X, and we gave them
So it
85%
depends.
of X.
It depends.
Yeah.
My answer to you is it depends. It depends on how much time we have.
And it doesn't have to be exact, it could just be rough.
Right, so it also depends on how many hours I work on this and your budget team works on it. Because it's gonna take a little time. I think that Denise has been updating our budget system as we go. It's possible that she'll be able to produce reports as of a point in time, like after we close today, she could update the system, send a report to me, and I could use that on a summary report to show you at a glance. Because one of the things that we share with you is here's how much every office and department asked for,
Right.
and we could put in, here's how much the board has.
That's all, that's all I want to see is kind
So
of
I
what
need a little
yeah.
time to do that.
And I'm not saying I actually need that, I don't know, maybe that's not important to my
I
seatmates.
think it is important,
I
but
just wonder if,
I think it's important, I just think that it's a little tricky, it has to include all funds.
Yeah.
And then we have to look at it with a grain of salt, like, for example, just as an example, like, public health will look like we funded the heck out of it. Well, because they had this, like,
It's gonna
huge
be lopsided.
windfall money.
It's gonna
Same with
be
the sheriff, sheriff might look overfunded, because we had this one-time money that we bought the body cams with.
Because with revenue, it comes with
Yeah,
revenue.
it comes with revenue, so I mean, I think it's worth seeing, but it's also gotta be, you can't just look at the bottom line and draw any conclusions, you have to look a little deeper.
yeah, and you know what, I don't care even if it's a verbal situation, I really don't. I mean, I'm just kind of curious where we're at.
so we could definitely walk through and say, yes, you have, or no, you haven't funded their number one ask.
I'm hoping
We
we're gonna
could
have
totally
everybody's
do
number
that.
one.
That would be easy.
I respectfully would like to amend one of your comments. I believe the 1,200 employees in the county are the backbone of county government.
All 1,200.
Oh, they are, but I mean,
And I'd just like to friendly amend.
no, I guess I should clarify that.
Just elected.
If the assessor isn't there to tell us how much taxes we have to pay, it doesn't work. If the treasurer isn't there, I mean, if the auditor isn't there, now, the road department, they gotta be there to fix that road too.
That's
No, I
exactly-
recognize that, but I mean, it kinda does start.
If HR isn't there, none of the others get paid. So, and none of them will show
Except if you
up.
go way back in the old days, do you know the sheriff was in charge of the county budget way back when? Did you know that?
You know,
I'm not making that up.
if public defense is not there.
Yeah, right, we got a problem.
So that's why my.
Yes,
friendly amendment-
okay, I'm not trying to trivialize anybody special. I'm just saying that from my perspective, coming, I guess, from an elected office, I don't like to micromanage any of the offices, if I can help it. And I wanna just give them the money and do their thing. It's our job.
That's our job, I feel like, to manage the budget, and
The
in that
budget.
sense,
Yeah.
it's where, we have to place some priorities over another, and I'm sorry, but an elected office might have a priority and an appointed director might have another priority, and I might go with the appointed director just because I believe their priority is more important. For me, I'm seeing it, what's a bigger service to the Thurston County taxpayers? Who's gonna get the biggest impact for this? So that's kind of my lens of what I'm looking at. It's not of whether they're elected or appointed, but who's gonna basically get, the most out of this situation if we're about to do this.
I think that's kind of the uniqueness of the board. We all look at it through a different lens, possibly. I mean, Commissioner Menzer and I, obviously, I'm not saying we don't want to solve the problem, but we look at it a different way, maybe, on certain things. Other things, we agree. So, I don't disagree with you. It's we all look at things through that different lens, and having been an elected official in one of the private office, or one of the elected offices before, I get a little different view of it, you know, that's all.
All right, getting back to the budget.
No.
In the about 12 minutes that we have left, I'm going to go backwards on the big sheet to page 18. And line 81, and we have yet more information about the diversion services. And Mr. Toonheim has responded that these services would be provided at no cost to the participant.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
And we're gonna pay for it with ARPA money.
perfect.
Yes.
2 thumbs on that,
All right, so,
4 thumbs on that.
and you're good, Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah.
Yes, all right, we got 5 thumbs.
Great.
Good. Let's see where we are at. We did all the bucket things, so we are going to,
No, Denise has got her hand up.
oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, Denise?
Would this be an appropriate time to share the follow-up information on the parks request? We were talking about if one position was funded, how much equipment was needed.
Yes, can you
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
us
that'll
what
be good.
line, can you tell us what line number that is?
I will try. I'll do
We
my
know
best.
that challenge.
151.
151?
Yes, thank you for that. What they need would be, oh geez,
Page 20.
$80,000 worth of equipment,
Instead of 110,
right?
is that right?
So what would
Yes.
the total first year
I
cost
suppose
be?
one of them's a vehicle.
Ooh, so the vehicle, just a second.
One FTE plus 80,000.
Yeah, so the FTE I think is about, just a second, I'm almost there. It looks to me, so the total of the FTEs was just rounded to 90,000, so one would be somewhere around 45,000.
So if we gave them 50,000 just to give a cushion, 50,000 for the FTE plus 80 for equipment in the first year only.
50 gonna get us an FTE?
Because they're the first.
How much would one FTE be roughly, Denise?
Well, what I'm seeing is the total on the two positions is $89,000. So each one is, the salaries are 26,000. I think that they might be seasonal.
We're looking at different lines. I'm looking at 249, 280 in 2022, 102,000 in 2023.
Correct.
That's what I'm looking
And
at.
then I'm looking at a line under that of $110,000.
That's parts.
That was what they had suggested for 2 FTEs and a lot of equipment.
And
so
that includes the transfers, moving the money, so it looks a little inflated.
all right, so you're gonna tell us what we really need for one FTE, around 50,000, fully loaded, and the equipment, 80,000, would be about 130,000 in year one, and then the ongoing cost would be roughly 50,000 a year.
I would be very curious if we pay 50,000 fully loaded
Yes,
to a
that's-
county employee.
It's not enough.
And again, if you think it might be seasonal?
No, it's a full-time
Yeah.
FTE, so it shouldn't
No,
be
don't have
seasonal.
to.
And FTE,
It's gotta be more like about 70 almost by the benefits and all that.
we will continue to look into this. Thank you, Denise.
So they say the cost of this proposal is $339 in 2022, which includes approximately 180 annual staff expense and 160 in 2022 for a one-time purchase of tools. and
Yeah, so why
equipment.
isn't that just half?
Yeah,
90 and 80?
Because it's loaded a lot of other things in the request. It's a bundle. This is, when offices and departments submit change requests, they balance the direction to have each one be a single thought, if you will, with the number of requests that they give to the board to consider. So this addresses more than just the FTE. There's also equipment in here. There are some other things, staffing, tools, and equipment to increase the level of service delivery. So we will talk to Public Works and have this number broken down to see what it would take to fund one FTE plus the equipment that person would need.
So what to come?
Yep, more to come.
I mean, I'm good with it no matter what it ends
Right,
up being, so it's really about you're getting the accounting right.
right.
Right, because the decision is one FTE.
Our decision is our decision.
I think that's right.
Good.
And it is more than 50.
I don't really need to parse through the details.
All right.
we're doing one FTE?
One
One
FTE.
We already
FTE.
decided that,
We already decided.
we're just trying to revise the number, but we failed.
We did that some time back. I've got one half, okay.
All right, let's go
We
to,
have-
One half, okay.
Oh, one half of 249,
Okay.
280.
We got 5 minutes, we can knock out a few of these.
okay,
Maybe. I think that we are picking up at line 153 at the bottom of page 24. Is that right? Okay, good. So this is a request from the auditor. It's to add an election technician position. The person is backfilled with revenue. About half of the cost comes with revenue in an even number year, and the total expense is covered in odd number years.
No, this is related to redistricting.
I don't think so.
Is this redistricting?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Oh, this, okay, sorry.
They said in the last
Yeah.
economic downturn, the election division was reduced by 1 FTE. They've done everything they can to come back from that, but they really need the staff.
It's then corrected.
And so how much would it actually be with the revenue?
So the impact is about $50,000 in the first year and 0 in the second
and it's
year.
alternate, so it's
Exactly.
it's like about 46 or 47,000 every other year
And I rounded up to 50.
with revenue to come in to support it, so I'm in support of this.
I'm in favor.
Yep, okay, good. All right, that's fine. Then, we're at the top of page 25. We have the clerk has asked to, she is eliminating a preceding specialist in general fund. She's transferring funding of the accounting positions and records positions to the general fund. She needs to get expenses out of the family court services fund so that the fund is in the black. And the net effect of all of this is impact on the general fund of roughly $3,500. So,
Well, that's hard to complain about.
2 thumbs, that's hard to complain, yep, 3 thumbs up.
So was this the one, I was confused about this one where it seemed like it was 3,000, but then it would increase in the years after to way more. Was this,
I didn't think that it increased in the out years.
Because there wouldn't be any funding that comes along with it or something?
yeah, something like that. There was this whole discussion and Ramiro, was this the one where you were trying to do the math or was I just
You might have been dreaming, but
This is one
No,
where,
I recall the conversation, but I'm not sure if it was related to this item.
Here, let me,
okay,
Let me look at my notes.
I can tell you that I raised that they're eliminating a judicial proceeding specialist on this line and then asking you to add 2 on the very next line.
Right.
So really, they could have said they need to get costs out of this fund instead of doing this dance.
yeah, it wasn't a priority for them, I'm gonna vote down for this one.
A no, a yes.
I was the high on this one, so.
tell me,
They need to get costs out of the Family Court Services Fund. So if you
so
don't,
it's just to transfer?
well, they're doing it by, they're making the general fund close to whole by eliminating a judicial proceeding specialist. And then they're moving the costs of these other FTEs into the general fund and making a few other adjustments. And it's close to zero, it nets close to zero impact to the general fund, but they have to reduce costs in this other fund because it's out of balance.
Are we talking about 155?
Yes, we are, 155 and 156.
I'm going with the chair on this. I'm good for it.
I
And the
did,
chair
yeah,
was,
I ranked it high back when it was presented and it was complex but I understood it at that time and I felt like it
Is, Commissioner, this priority number 1, that was the
Oh.
B001, B0501.
Okay, yeah.
it's her top
03.
priority.
03.
That's the concern, because in here it's expenditures 180, revenues 173, but in the long term, there was an impact to the general
It
fund.
was priority number 3.
All right,
So your concern was about a different item, is that what you heard?
Yeah, but I'll vote down for this one.
it's a yes for this, it's no.
Yeah.
So, on line 155, Commissioner Mejia is a thumbs down, Commissioner Menzer is a thumbs up,
Yeah.
and so is Commissioner Edwards. So that's a yes. 157 is a request for 2.5 FTEs to support the 9th judge. So when we were looking at court administration costs, we skipped this one, we didn't decide this one. A thumbs down from Commissioner Mejia.
I'm good with 1 more, on top of the 1 we funded. I don't, but the extra point and a half, I'm gonna need my arm twisted by one of my feet mates. Doesn't sound like I'm gonna get much twisted.
Yeah, I'm like,
here.
you're not gonna get it from me.
So you're proposing 1 FTE.
I would vote for 1.
Commissioner Edwards, where are you?
It's up to you guys.
What's that Odyssey system?
That's the state-run court system that they have to keep all their records and proceedings with.
Is that an
Commissioner Mejia.
efficiency issue?
No, I mean, we switched to Odyssey, so it would be efficient.
We switched to that, so we are already efficient.
Yeah,
So
better than it used to be, would you say?
Yeah.
Pre-Odyssey?
Yeah.
way better.
Odyssey, like, is not the best in the world, but it's way better than what we used to have. Way better.
I hate to rush, but we have the 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
So
What?
the proposal is
I
no,
know it. Yeah.
1,
Yeah, I'm inclined to go no on this, only because I don't know that much about it. But, and I wanna, Commissioner Mejia obviously knows about it. But if I heard that there was a heck of an argument for it, we'd have to put it on hold to see if we couldn't talk about it tomorrow.
Reserve that right to put
Pick it up overnight.
You wanna do that?
Commissioner Edwards wants
Is that
to-
okay?
Yeah, it's
so
fine.
let's just stop at 156.
Okay, that's
We'll come
Yeah.
back on
totally fine.
Yeah, that's
No, on 157,
Yes.
No, we start at 1:57 tomorrow.
157.
157.
Yeah,
What did I say?
Yep.
use it.
156.
All
Close
right,
enough.
thank you.
Back tomorrow at 9?
Tomorrow at 9. And if at 11:30, it doesn't look like we're making progress toward the end, we should bring in lunch.
Yes, but I do have a business scheduled for you tomorrow. And this is for you to consider waiving for the testing.
Right.
Looking at me or?
No, I'm looking,
Okay, I'm like,
you're
you're looking right at me, I'm like,
No, you're the chair.
I gotta wait, what?
Because you're the chair.
Yeah.
And we have an item at 11:30 tomorrow.
Oh, right, the one that we, okay.
And I want to make sure that we're tracking on this. Even if we have a working lunch. we need
Well, that's
to-
fine, we can pick that up quickly.
Yeah.
And we could still, you
That
and I
should-
have a
that-
check-in.
That shouldn't take more than 5-10 minutes.
Are we having a working lunch tomorrow?
It's looking that way.
Maybe.
Should I bring lunch?
How about if
should.
we, how about if we
Let's
just go ahead and
just
do it?
plan on it.
And then I'll ask staff to order lunch.
That sounds good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So can we just order a McConey's or is that too?
Oh,